we are back. Thanks for clicking on the link. Welcome to Good Energy. Enjoy the content, and everyone have a blessed day. And we are back. Thanks for clicking on the channel. Welcome to Good Energy. Smash the like button, guys. And we're going to cover the two WTA tournaments going on right now, the WTA 250 Istanbul and the WTA 500 Porsche Grand Prix. And let's get right into it. We have the semifinals set. Sergio Kudermetova, Putintseva, and Potapova. Now let's take a look at how these ladies got here to the semifinals from their previous quarterfinal match. We're going to start first with Anastasia Potapova. She had a match versus Tormo where she was a 2-1 underdog. Now Anastasia Potapova, she came from the qualifiers. She is pretty darn hot. She's going to meet Putintseva in the semifinals, but first let's take a look at the match with Tormo. Anastasia came out with a large yellow puffy coat. Talk about swag. She came into this match very confident. Who does that? You've never seen a tennis player come out to a match like that. That's swag. And she would dominate this matchup. That's correct. 80% first serve. 67% first serve points won. She dominated the second serve. She held Tormo 23% second serve points won. She saved 0 out of 5 break points. Unbelievable. She dominated. Total points 30 of 46 compared to Tormo 18 of 46. 6-2, 6-2. She broke her 5 times. She is on the way to meet Putintseva. Stay tuned for that preview and prediction. You might be shocked. That leads us into our next match, Tomljanovic versus Julia Putintseva. This was a lock I gave out. I told you to take Putintseva to win this match. And take a look at Asia. Poor baby. Such a beautiful woman. She was just frustrated all day, and I feel so bad for her. Asia's doing the reality tennis network programming where all the cameras are just following her around, and this was a tough loss. I know they're gonna have some good footage for this match to show on the network. I can't wait to see it. But congratulations to Asia for being selected to, be the spokesperson for the tennis network on a day-to-day life, having the cameras follow her around. But nonetheless, this is a match I predicted very accurately. It was on my Patreon. And by the way, if you've listened this far, please join my Patreon. The link is below. Sign up. It's $100 a month. And it's simple. I will give you winners. I win at least 80% of my matches that I put on there. Of course, you can't win them all, but I guarantee you will make money. When I tell you to go, then you need to go. The reality here is the green light means ka-ching, but the reality here is Tomljanovic. She's just met someone that was a little bit more athletic than her. This is a match that I said. Putintseva is playing very, very good. She's playing from the baseline. She's hitting drop shots. She's doing very, very well at just frustrating opponents and making them play her game. Tomljanovic got really, really desperate. She did come back and she won the first set. So that was the shocker, but Putintseva would come back, win the second set and the third set. And in the mid-third set, Asia, after being broken, got a little desperate. She started hitting long backhands and just going for winners, and that led to even more mistakes, to the already normal amount of mistakes, which is a ton that she normally makes in a match. But the reality here is Putintseva, she's just a little bit more fit. She's playing a little bit better, and she's through to the semifinals. She's going to face Anastasia Potapova. I'm going to have a prediction for that match very shortly. Stay tuned. Veronika Kudermetova, she will be facing Sergio in the semifinals, but how did they get here? Veronika Kudermetova facing a tough match here with the veteran had a couple scares early on, and the reality here is Kudermetova would prevail. Bondar just playing very, very good and very experienced, a veteran on clay, simply put. Kudermetova was frustrated early on, challenging several calls that were clearly out, but nonetheless it just seemed that the frustration Bondar and the situation she was putting Kudermetova in was starting to wear on her. This match would go to a tiebreak the first set, and the reality here is looked like Bondar could still win and squeak one after being broken a couple times. She fought her way back. I felt that Veronica was not at her best today. She looked angry, she looked upset. Remember, in tennis there's a lot of waiting around, and sometimes that can affect mood swings, unlike other major network sports where the time and the schedule, it's to the T. Tennis, there's rain delays, there's weather delays, there's matches, previous matches that can take long, they can end short. So a lot of time, tennis players can be frustrated with the schedules, and timing is very important with tennis. It's all about timing. Nonetheless, she would pull it off in 2 tight sets. That was a lock I gave out, and of course, Kudermetova won 5 for 5 on my Patreon, guys. On matches today, 5 for 5. That is correct. You can go there, take a look. And then, of course, Stu won, and that's a match I said she should win, and she did. Let's take a look at the first set of predictions for Istanbul, and let's see here who will advance to the finals. So the first match we're going to look at in the semifinals of the Istanbul WTA 250 is Anastasia Potapova versus Yulia Putintseva. Yulia Putintseva is the world's ranked 51st WTA female on tour, and Anastasia Potapova is ranked 122nd on tour. Let's take a look at Anastasia first. These two ladies do have a head-to-head of one match that was played in 2020 in Brisbane, where Yulia Putintseva won that in straight sets. Fairly straightforward match. She broke Anastasia twice and once each set, and pretty much controlled the tempo throughout the match. This match, let's take a look though. Anastasia Potapova, in terms of majors, the slams, the highest she has made it at the Australian Open is a round of 32. She did that last year. She made it to the round of 64 once at Roland Garros and Wimbledon as well in 2019. And she has made the US Open, but however, she's been eliminated in the opening round twice. That was in 2019 and 2021. Anastasia Potapova, she did come up through the qualifiers, and so far on the season, she's averaging just under 3 aces per game. She's winning 56% of her service games, 29% of her return games, and in terms of break points, pretty decent. She's saving about 50% of her break points, and she's converting at about 35% of her converted options. She is going to have to improve that number if she's going to beat Putintseva, who's just playing lights out tennis right now. Putintseva, though, she's the world's ranked 51st female on tour. If we take a look at how she's done at the majors, she's made it to the round of 32 at the Australian Open on 3 occasions. She's made the quarterfinals at Roland Garros twice. Yulia Putintseva is a pretty experienced clay player. She's made the round of Wimbledon 64 on 5 occasions, and she's made the US Open quarterfinal once in 2020. We remember that. That was a great, exciting year. Yulia is not a huge ace player. She gets about 1 ace per game. She's winning 58% of her service games, only 38% of her return games. She does make a lot of mistakes. She's saving 57% of her break points, and she's converting on 46% of her break points. Now, this matchup in particular between these two ladies, Yulia Putintseva, I feel, is doing a very great job of frustrating her opponents and getting her opponents off balance. The courts here at Istanbul they they're a lot faster than the courts at the Porsche Grand Prix in Germany. These courts in Istanbul is pretty fast, and for Yulia Putintseva, she is using her athletic ability to get through these opponents. She hasn't looked the best. It's nearly not as good as she does look on hard, but she hasn't looked the best, but her athletic ability is getting her through these situations, and she's just frustrating her opponents enough. She's switching them off balance, off rhythm, to where they just can't do anything. They're overhitting, they're getting aggressive, they're changing their play style to try to score points in desperation, and it's not working. Anastasia, on the other hand, did come up from the qualifiers. She's adjusted to the courts. She is playing with a lot of confidence, and that is scary. I feel that all the things that Putintseva has done so far, I feel Anastasia is the one player that has the chance to disrupt them. This is a free prediction. I may or may not put this on my Patreon, but I am picking Anastasia Potapova to win the first set, and I think this is a match Anastasia should win. It's just, she's playing very good. What she did to a very experienced clay player like Cerebra's Tormo was very impressive. What she's been doing this tournament is very impressive, and she's playing with confidence. She feels she can beat anyone. And if Yulia has a bad day, she can, just like Sabalenka and Sakari, she can get frustrated, she can get angry, and that can really affect her game. I'm taking Anastasia to upset Yulia Putintseva, and definitely she will start off by winning the first set. So I have Anastasia Potapova in the finals here at Istanbul. Who will she play, Veronika Kudermetova or Sorano Sărescu? Now, these two ladies have played twice in the past, with Sărescu taking both of those matches, the most recent coming in the 2021 US Open last year, where Sărescu met Veronika in the first round. This was a very, very disappointing outing for Veronika. It did go 3 sets, but the third set was a donut. The previous match before the US Open came in 2016 at Biarritz at the quarterfinal, where Sărescu won that pretty easily. Sărescu's very experienced clay player. Okay, we know that. I've covered that in the previous video. How has Sărescu done at the majors? Well, she's made the Australian Open round of 16 twice. Okay, that's where she got the name Giant Killer by doing that this year, is the most recent one. Roland Garros quarterfinal, she made that in 2009. That's right. She made Wimbledon, the round of 32, 4 times, and the US Open round of 32, she has made that 3 times. In terms of Sărescu, she's averaging just over 2 aces per game. Not a huge strength player. She's more finesse and movement. She's winning 65% of her service games. She is winning 42% of her return games. And in terms of her break points, she is converting her break points, 46% of those, and in terms of her break points saved, she's saving about 56% of her break points. Kudermetova, although she owns the head-to-head, I think this might be a little bit more competitive match here. In terms of Kudermetova, let's take a look at how she's done at the majors. Kudermetova has made the Australian Open round of 32 on 2 occasions. She's made the Roland Garros round of 32 in 2019. Wimbledon, she hasn't got past the round of 64. And at the US Open, she has been eliminated 3 times in the first round at the US Open. I don't think she likes the US Open that much there. Veronika Kudermetova, she really came on late in 2021, and it's showing that. I covered her when she got her first championship. I was so proud of her. She worked really hard with her husband and coach, and I feel her confidence is on an all-time high. I feel she is getting to a point where she's going to be a consistent household name in the top 20 to top 15. And these two ladies here, I think this is going to be a match that's going to be long, hard fought. And much like Sărescu in France, where she had that insane battle with Diana Yastremka. I think we're going to have another match like this here that's going to go 3 sets. This is a match here that I'm going to take the over 21.5 games. I think it definitely goes over. And if I had to pick, I would lean with Kudermetova. But the official lock for this match is to take the over. I think both of these ladies are playing well. They both, I mean, there's, you know, 280 points up for grabs here. The reality here is both of these ladies want to make the finals, and I think you're going to see a hard-fought match. This is going to be one of the toughest matches today on the schedule. I think it goes over. I would lean Veronika Kudermetova to finally get her first win over Sershu. Let's head to Germany. Yes. As we head to the Porsche Grand Prix, we have the top 3 seeds remaining. Iga Swiatek, Paula Badosa, and Aryna Sabalenka. Iga Swiatek is a 2.5 to 1 favorite to win this tournament. You can't really disagree with those odds. He's playing such great tennis. Paula Badosa and Sabalenka are both 3 to 1 underdogs to win this tournament. And of course, Samsonova, which everyone has forgotten about. She's going to play Iga Swiatek today. She is a 16 to 1 underdog. That's very disrespectful. But nonetheless, let's take a look at Sabalenka versus Kontaveit. Kontaveit had a very frustrating day at the office. And let's be honest, guys, everyone has a bad day at work. This was Annette's day. Annette lost the first set 6-4. She came back and broke Sabalenka once in the second set. She stole it. She served first. And then the third set was a blowout. That's Sabalenka's power coming back at Kontaveit. These courts are playing very slow. And the powerful baseliners are just having their way with these opponents. And that Kontaveit looks so sad when she loses. It's heartbreaking to see such a beautiful woman. I would probably shoot my shot if it wasn't already taken. But the reality here is Sabalenka has heat-seeking missiles, and her post-match interview was one of the funniest. Sabalenka, what were you thinking? You won the first set easily, and what were you thinking in the second set when you lost? I was just thinking that today is probably just her day. So hilarious. Sabalenka, what do you like best about playing here? Okay, next question. And do you think you can win this tournament? Yes. What color Porsche do you want? I want the red one. Sabalenka is so hilarious. If Sabalenka is having fun, she's scary, okay? We see a lot of Sabalenka break when she's frustrated, when her balls are headlong, and she's not able to time her shots and find her rhythm in her sweet spots. Then she unravels pretty bad. Stay tuned. I'm going to have a preview and prediction and a lock for you in the Sabalenka Paula Badosa match. But let's take a look at the other quarterfinal match that took place today. The reality here is I thought this was a match Laura Siegemund could win. However, this was not on my Patreon. I only put locks and matches I felt comfortable winning on my Patreon. This was not on my Patreon. But I did think Laura Siegemund had a really good chance to beat Samsonova. I thought she would beat her actually, but the reality here, Samsonova just showed she's a little, in this current tournament, a little notch above Siegemund. But the reality is I just think Siegemund's age caught up with her activity, and just playing so much tennis after coming back, I think it just caught up with her body. She looked slow today, and I think that's really all it was. But nonetheless, Iga Swiatek just saying she's familiar with Samsonova. She was a couple years older than her, coming up on juniors, and she said, yeah, I know her game, I'm familiar with her, and Samsonova was kind of a big deal. So this is going to be a really good match. I think Iga kind of wants to prove, being the younger player, that she's the more dominant player. And 16 to 1 favorite, I think that's disrespectful. But we'll get into that match a little later. We have 2 more quarterfinal matches to cover before we give you the preview and predictions on this video. Thanks for hanging around so far. If you've been listening up till now, please like, subscribe, and comment below. This was a long-awaited match. Iga Swiatek taking on Emma Raducanu. oh, was this match popcorn worthy? I was glued to the TV. But the reality here is Emma would have a bad day at the job. Consider this orientation for the newbie, training on the job. Iga Swiatek would dominate the first set, winning it 6-4, and it was not as close as it seemed. Iga was not even in a position to be broken. Emma could not get close to her. In the second round, though, she did make adjustments, and that's one thing. Kudos to Emma and her team. And she is a very quick learner. I think she makes some really good in-game adjustments, much better than a lot of other players. And she's getting better and better. She's still a bit young. If she continues to make those adjustments and work on her game, I think she could be at an Iga Swiatek's level someday in the near future. But the reality here is this is a match where you just saw Iga just playing chess. She's thinking 3 to 4 moves ahead of Emma, and Emma really didn't have an answer. She did make an adjustment in the second set. She was able to finally break Iga. She actually had a couple points to break back before eventually losing the match. But the reality here is Iga's numbers are just amazing. She's chasing Venus Williams' record since 2000 in terms of consecutive wins. Iga's won 27 sets in a row. She hasn't even been near dropping a set, 21 matches in a row. And the reality here is, aside from Naomi Osaka, Iga hits the ball fast and heavy unlike no other player. And that's a problem with these courts. In my opinion, I think the only one that can beat Iga in this particular tournament is going to be Sabalenka. And that's just the way Sabalenka hits the ball. But the reality here is Iga Swiatek, she's hitting the ball with a ton of pace, forcing her opponents to do too much to get it back, and they're just making mistakes. She's putting her opponents in uncomfortable positions, and the reality here is she just hasn't even lost a serve before this, before Emma broke her. She hadn't been broken in 9 matches. So the reality here is she just forced Emma to play risky, and it's hard to read Iga. She keeps you guessing. And in my opinion, I think Iga has the best long strokes other than someone like a Sacri. So if you pay close attention to Marie Sacri when the ball's coming at her, she has a long, winding forehand to where you don't really know where she's going to place the ball, right? Because it's long and winding. So she essentially can cover any area of the court. Now, Marie knows where she's going to go with the ball, but her long, winding forehand, it's like, if this were basketball, it's like a crossover. It fakes you out. And watch Marie Sacri when she hits her forehand. It's one of the best timed forehands in the game. And the reality here is Iga has a similar forehand like that, except she doesn't expose it to the last minute. Whereas Marie kind of hangs her forehand arm out there a little bit, and then boom, she winds it up with a ton of force and pressure and speed and pace. Whereas Iga is, it's a little more direct as the ball's coming at her. She still winds it up and she fakes it, but it's a lot quicker and it has a lot more pace, and it ends up just being a much heavier ball. If that makes sense to you guys. But the reality here is, I think Iga Swiatek, she's just a smart chess player, and I think Sabalenka's the only one that's going to beat her in this tournament. I do think the 16-1 favorite versus Samsonova is very disrespectful. However, I do think Iga's going to beat Samsonova. I thought Siegemund would beat Samsonova. Samsonova, she's a good player, but the reality here is I don't think she's on the level of Iga. I actually didn't think she was on the level of a prime Siegemund, but Siegemund's definitely still getting back to where she needs to be. But nonetheless, let's take a look. But the reality here is Iga's playing very well, and as we head to the Jabeur-Paula Badosa match, the reality here is Sabalenka or Paula Badosa, they're going to have to play Iga. And the experts believe Iga's not going to lose anytime soon. And the kids are excited. Iga's bringing out the fans. People want to see her play. I know I want to see her play. She hasn't lost a match since Ostapenko in Dubai. And that was early on when she was still kind of getting her form and getting in shape. But the way to beat her is with power and pace. And Sabalenka's the only one I feel that can beat her. I don't think Paula Badosa would beat her. Paula Badosa is not as strong as Sabalenka. And I don't think that variety is really going to do much to Iga because she's so versatile. I think power is the only thing that's going to disrupt her. Firing heat-seeking missiles at her that she can't think 4 to 5 moves ahead and play chess, where she just got to get the ball back and return it and keep it in play. That's the only way you're going to beat her. And I think Sabalenka is the only one that can really do that. But as we take a look at the Paula Badosa Jabeur match, this is a match I called on my Patreon. I told you that Paula Badosa will win the first set, take the first set. She's becoming a front runner. She's dropping the second set, which is exactly what she did. And she did pull off the third set, but again, she looked very exhausted. Let's get to the preview and predictions for the Porsche Grand Prix Open. Iga Swiatek versus Ludmila Samsonova. These two have never played each other, but they're familiar with each other from the junior circuit. Iga's the world's ranked number 1. And right now, Iga's averaging just under 3 aces per game. She's winning an astonishing 75% of her service games, 54% of her return games. She's dominating the first serve. She's saving 61% of her break points. And what's even more ridiculous is no one's even getting a chance to break her. And she's converting 54% of her converting options, and she's going to be taking on Samsonova, the world's ranked 31st player. Samsonova is averaging 5 aces per game. She's going to need to double that if she wants to at least have a chance here. She's winning 80% of her service games, only 20% of her return games. She's going to have to improve that number if she wants to break Iga Swiatek, the world's number ranked 1 player in the world. She is, though, however, she's saving 67% of her break points. She's converting only 37%. So the key here in this matchup here, Samsonova, I feel, does not have the best movement. However, she is long. If she can play wide, stretch the court, that's the only way you're going to beat Iga Swiatek, is by stretching the court. Ludmila can cover a lot of ground because she's wide and she's long, and I feel that's really all she can do. Just hang around, hold serve, and try to force a tiebreak. That's really the only way she's going to beat Iga Swiatek. She has to hold serve and just hang around and force a tiebreak. But I do see Iga Swiatek winning this match, and it's going to be in straight sets. Let's jump right into the match of the day. This is going to be a lock on my Patreon, guys, and we have the 3rd and 4th ranked players on tour going head to head with a chance to get to the finals here. And let's start with Sabalenka. Sabalenka is the 4th ranked person on tour, and Sabalenka is averaging about 4 to 5 aces per game, just under 5. She's winning 66% of her service games, 36% of her return games. She is saving 49% of her break points and converting 50% of the options that she has to break opponents. In terms of this matchup here, these two have played twice before, and the reality here is Paula Badosa does own the head-to-head, with the most recent coming at the WTA finals, where that went 6-4, 6-love for Paula Badosa. And before that, again earlier that year at Cincinnati, that went 3 sets. Sabalenka won the first set, Paula Badosa won the second set 6-2. The third set went to a tiebreaker, which was amazing. That was a thriller, very exciting match. I remember watching that. And in terms of Paula Badosa, she is the 3rd ranked female on tour. And the reality here is she's got some really good numbers. She's putting up more aces than Sabalenka. She's putting up just under 5 aces per game, slightly more than Sabalenka. She's winning 72% of her service games, 40% of her return games, and she is converting 48% of her break points. She's saving 67% of her break points. And Paula Badosa, I feel, has benefited out of all the players here, maybe except Iga. She's benefited the most from these courts here. And she mentioned in her interview yesterday that she prefers to not have the bye because she needs time to play herself into shape and get a rhythm. And those are very, very smart words and very informative. But I feel that the more she plays, the stronger she gets, especially when she catches her second win. The second set for Paula Badosa is not the set that you want to watch her matches, because you'll get the wrong impression of her game, when the reality here is I think she slacks off in the second set. She has to develop the eye of the tiger in her game if she wants to ever make the number one spot like an Iga Swiatek. Iga Swiatek, I told you guys a couple years ago on my other channel, Iga Swiatek, once she figures it out and puts it together, she's going to dominate the tour. I said this. I saw her serve volley, her 1-2 punch. She continues to add tools and weapons to her arsenal, and she's getting better and better. This match, in my opinion, is going to come down to one thing only. Sabalenka has 288 wins, 147 losses. Although she has several more titles than Paula Badosa. Sabalenka's got 10 titles, and the reality here is Paula Badosa's only got a fraction of that with 3 titles. However, this match is going to come down to one thing and one thing only, and that is going to be, I think this match is going to come down to one thing and one thing only. Sabalenka has 288 wins, 147 losses on her career with 10 titles. Paula Badosa has 306 wins, 161 losses. Paula Badosa has 3 times the experience on clay than Sabalenka. 146 wins, 76 losses. Sabalenka 47 wins, 35 losses. For every 5 matches Sabalenka plays on clay, she loses 1. Take Paula Badosa to win the first set. Paula Badosa, you get a lot of her best tennis in the first set. Take Paula Badosa to win the first set. That is a lock. Take it to the bank. Guys, this is good energy. If you have listened this far, please hit the like button. If not, what is wrong with you? You gotta show some love. But the reality here is I will be covering the final. Kudermetova is a really good pick to take in Istanbul. And in this tournament here, I think it's going to be, the reality here is I like Paula Badosa to win the first set against Sabalenka. However, I wouldn't count Sabalenka out. But Iga Swiatek's going to have her ticket punch for the final. Will it be Sabalenka or Paula Badosa? The match itself could go either way. Both ladies like to catch their second win. Sabalenka's been playing some really good baseline ball. I think if Sabalenka's going to win, she's going to have to make adjustments after the first set. Paula Badosa will win the first set, but Sabalenka's going to have to make some adjustments. And the reality here is she's got a chance to beat Paula Badosa. It's tough to beat someone 3 times in a row. Nonetheless, this is good energy, guys. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment below. I will cover the finals, and we will also talk boxing. Stay tuned for that. We are